Big clash on Monday as Collingwood, Melbourne and the AFL community in general raise money to fight MND. Let's play the intro. So the last time Melbourne and Collingwood played each other was last year's Queen's birthday / the Big Freeze at the G. Melbourne was coming off a 6-game winning streak, Collingwood a 3-game winning streak. We started picking up form. By this time, this is when all the commentators were saying, none of these teams have bet anyone big. So this was a big clash of two teams in the top 6 vying for that top 4 position. So we kicked the first 5 of 6 goals and Melbourne just couldn't get into it except for that second quarter where they started chipping away at the scoreline before we ran over the top of them. McDonald kicked 6 of their 14 goals for the day while Cox had 5 for us, Hyphen and Stevo had 4 apiece. Sidebottom, of course, was instrumental. We all know how great his 2018 was. And this is the year where De Goey started bursting onto the scene, over 30 disposals and 12 inside 50s. Our backline was held up really well by Howe and Dunn. But this is a game where Wells injured his ankle and we didn't see him until a couple of weeks ago against Sydney. And we all know what happened there. So Melbourne had a chance to resurrect their season, try and get into the finals contention. They did have a chance against Adelaide last week. They were up by 31 points going into that last quarter. In a contrasting tale to Collingwood's game last week, Melbourne had a chance to win the game with a kick after the siren. Wiedemann lined up, missed it, and Adelaide won by a couple points. Despite Adelaide's huge last quarter, it was actually Melbourne that shot themselves in the foot. Of the 12 inside 50s, they only scored 1 goal in that last quarter and finished that quarter with 1 goal 8. So after progressing to the prelim last year, they now sit on 3 wins and they've all booked their trips to Mount Buller for the end of the season. So we all know how last week played out for us. We were outgunned and outskilled by a Freo team that was hungrier for the ball and silkier with the ball. A month of mediocre football, although we were winning games, seems to have caught up with us last week. Walters kicked a goal with 27 seconds left, which all but sealed Freo's win and ended our 7-game winning streak. Our contributors were few and far in between. Pendle stood out, Maynard stood out, but what didn't stand out was our goal kicking. Actually, it did stand out in the fact that it was just crappy, to put it bluntly. But in saying all that, for seeming like we were out of the game and not playing up to our standard, we only lost by less than a kick. Huge ins for us. I say that because Braden Sire, the bear himself, finally makes a return in place of Dane Beams, who is going into surgery for his hip and he'll be out for a few months. So hopefully Sire has a great game. I've been talking him up. Everyone wants to see him play. Had such a great second half last year. Played in the grand final. We know how good he can be. And we just need to see that grunt and that in and under that he brings to our team. The big Texan Cox is also back in place of Reed, which, yes, Cox is amazing. Love to see him play, love to see him back, especially after being out for 5 weeks. I just don't think Reed has done much wrong in these last couple of weeks. Yeah, his first week wasn't that good, but he has played his role. He has kicked a couple goals, been that presence up forward for us. I honestly thought they were going to drop Checkers because, his inaccuracy, bring him to the VFL, give him that confidence. He looks like he lacks a bit of confidence, but Reed's out. What do I know? I just make YouTube videos. There's also some really big ins for Melbourne. Lever comes back after a knee reconstruction and ankle injury. Hasn't played since round 11 last year. May comes back after an injury. Hasn't played since round 2 last year. Hoare comes back into the side. Hoare, if you don't know, played for Collingwood's VFL side last year and for previous years to that as well. And Salem comes back, which for pretty much all backmen, well not pretty much all backmen, 3 of the 4 are backmen. Salem can go back as well. Will I ever go into a video without mentioning Brodie Grundy? Let's be honest, probably not. But this Melbourne clash is going to pit the 2 best ruckmen of this current era against each other, Gawn and Grundy. Melbourne and Collingwood are ranked 2nd and 3rd respectively for hitouts, so this is going to be an interesting battle. Last year, Grundy nullified Gawn's influence on the game and Melbourne couldn't get it out from the midfield. And this year, I feel like Grundy is 10 times the player than he was last year and I can't see him losing this duel. The Demons bringing in half an army for their back line says a lot about our forward line. Cox in, Checkers, Stevo, Varco, Thomas, all these guys. It obviously scares Melbourne, the forward line power that we have. I feel like this game is where our small crummers are going to come to the forefront of the game. This is the kind of game where I feel like Josh Thomas will shine, Steve-O will shine, and Callum Brown will shine. Also, I think it's time for Thomas to get back to his 2018 form and kick us a bag this week. Melbourne are ranked second for inside 50s in the game, but on the flip side of that, they're also ranked 16th for points scored in a game. So even though they get the ball a lot inside their 50, they don't really do much with it. But in saying that, constant forward pressure is what creates turnovers, it's what creates goals. This is where our backline has to stand up. Howe, Maynard, Ruffy, and more need to stand up. Honestly, I don't think you could... Oh my god. Honestly, I don't think you could find a Collingwood supporter that isn't nervous about this game. I've been nervous since the final siren against Freo, albeit I was also angry, I was also sad, but very nervous about Monday's game. What's making me more nervous is that Melbourne need this win as much as Collingwood do. And I know that's like stupid because everyone wants to win a game, but Melbourne have to prove something. They still have a glimmer of a finals chance. They're still on 3 wins. They've lost their last 3 games, so they're going to come out firing like we know they will, like we know every team does. And we just have to use last week's disappointment as the kick up the arse that we need. So I think Collingwood will win by 28 points. My big call is a kind of a multi-call. I feel like Cox will get 4 goals, Thomas will get 3, and Sire is going to outdo his personal best and get 10 tackles this game. So a quick congrats to Roughhead on his 150th game. What a pickup he's been, what an influence on that backline he's been. Can't wait to see him play 150 more. And just quickly before I sign off, at the end of the day, this is just a game of football, but M&D isn't. It's a horrible disease, and Danaher's tireless work to bring this to the forefront of everyone's attention is so admirable, and it's so amazing at what he's been able to do, what he's been able to achieve. So if you can, buy one of these beanies, donate if you can, help out this great cause, and let's fight M&D together. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and I'll swoop you later. Go Pies.